Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome, sir. Okay, so
Shall I
the
start, sir?
participants, today's speaker is here. Yes, sir. You can go to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much, all the organizing team. So I welcome all the participants and all the coordinating team for this session. So as I have already conveyed to all the participants and I have suggested them to download DVW. I hope everyone has downloaded. So I welcome all the participants and I request them to please open this DVWA. Let me share my screen first. We'll be doing some hands-on today. I hope my screen is visible. So I again request the participant.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, thank you. So I request the participant to please keep this session as much as interactive. So keep answering my queries if I'm asking any query. That will make the session more interactive. Thank you. So first of all, you have to run the services of XAMPP. How to start the XAMPP services? Just go to the XAMPP control panel. In XAMPP control panel, you have to click on this start button. So in the last class, I have demonstrated the entire steps, practical step to how to configure the DBWA. I have demonstrated. So the first thing you have to do is you have to start the services of Apache by clicking here. Make sure that this two port is visible, port 80 and 443, and this is colored in the background is colored in green. It means the services has started. Then you have to close this. After that, you have to write here localhost DVWA. When you write localhost DVWA, this screen may be coming. This screen may be coming to your browser. This page may be coming on your screen. So this is login page of DVWA. So right here admin and the default password is PASSWORD. So this is our DVWA. I have demonstrated each and every steps one by one in the last class, and I have also given a complete installation guide, the document containing complete installation guide with you in the last class. So here you can see there are many toolboxes are there where you can perform various attacks. You can exploit these vulnerabilities, right? And you can learn. It is being this DVWA is being used by several researchers across the world, right? And it is very popular. Very much researchers are in using this DVWA for different exploitation of vulnerabilities. So you can see it is containing brute force, command injection, CSRF, file inclusion, file upload, SQL injection, then cross-site scripting. These are the popular vulnerability and attacks. So let us start with this SQL injection. So in the last class, what we have done, we have learned what is SQL injection. So what we have done, we have injected a small injection code in login screen, and with the help of this injection, the login screen was cracked. Let me show you again. So this was the login where we have used this injection code 1 or 1 equal to 1. So we have written here admin. We are not we are a hacker right now. We are working as a hacker. So we are not knowing to the password. So what we have done, we have pasted this code. Which injection code we have used? This 1 equal to 1, 1 or 1 equal to 1, and without knowing password, I am able to log into someone else's account, right? This is one aspect of this SQL injection. But SQL injection is very much powerful than this, right? It is not only being used for hacking into someone else's account, right? We can do many more things with this SQL injection. So we are going to see here some advanced SQL injection attacks, which can be used to gather more and more information. Like when you are a hacker, when you are learning ethical hacking, you are more interested in getting as much as possible information about the system, their databases and all, right? Because for every website, for each and every website, their database is the most crucial thing, right? So if you are gaining more and more information out database, its structure, then you are moving one step ahead in hacking the entire server, right? So database details are very much sensitive data, right? So with this SQL injection, what we can have as a hacker, we can extract the root username, the database name, the database structure, that is what are the attributes, what are the columns, right? We can extract column name. Also we can have the row values, right? So while by sitting remotely, we can use SQL injection on any website and we get more and more detail from the database. And at last, we can have all the details. Suppose there is a website which is having 100 users. All these users are having their user ID and password stored in the website database, right? Using this SQL, we can extract all the username, all the password from the database. So this SQL is very powerful tool. This SQL injection is very powerful attack, right? So let us do one by one. I hope everyone has opened this DBWA in their browser. So here it is asking for user ID. Let me explain what is this user ID again. Let me load this phpMyAdmin. So you also should open this phpMyAdmin. What you have to do to open this phpMyAdmin? Just write here localhost. When you write here localhost slash, then this home screen will be opened. This is the dashboard of your XAMPP control panel. Dashboard of XAMPP. Here you will get a link of phpMyAdmin. When you click on phpMyAdmin, this will open this phpMyAdmin. What this phpMyAdmin is? It is a very beautiful GUI which is coming along with this XAMPP package. When you are installing XAMPP, then they will be giving freely this screen, the GUI. It is like a small website which is providing you a graphical interface to access the databases. Otherwise, it is not possible to have these databases, all the databases in this graphical mode. You have to access these databases through command prompt, right? And you need to write command for that. But this phpMyAdmin is very good, beautiful interface which is coming along with the XAMPP, and it is providing you graphical way to access the databases. So it is listing here all the databases existed in your web server. So when you install this DBWA for the first time, so you will get this database automatically created in your web server, right? So you will get this in your web server automatically installed. Please check whether it is coming or not in your phpMyAdmin and let me know in the chat box. So please let me know in the chat box. So in the last class, many participants has tried to install. Please keep responding in the chat box. Otherwise, it will not be interactive, right? Yeah, Halika ji, have you installed it and are you running with along with me? Anyone, any participant? I hope the organizing team has given the permission to the participant to respond in the chat box. How many of you are working along with me in DVWA? This session is going to be purely practical and there will be no benefit if you are not practicing along with me. It is not just a simple lecture like awareness or introduction kind of thing, right? So it is completely hands-on. So I request all the participants to please do practice along with me. So how many of you have opened this DVWA? Yes, Akansha Chopra ji, have you installed it? Aditya Joshi ji, Akansha Gupta, Ankita Nainwal. So I request all the participants to please keep responding. Bilas ji, have you installed this? Nasir Darani. These are the participants who was asking me about the steps of installing this DVWA. So I hope they have installed it. So I request the organizing team to kindly ask the participant to keep responding.
Okay, sir.
So, sir, have you given the permission to the participant?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because I'm not getting any response.
Okay, sir. I will, send the message in, chat.
Okay, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so Arpana ji is telling that he is just listening. Okay. But one thing you should be very, very clear, sir, because if you not practice it, you will get only 5% of this session, right? Anyway, so if you have already running, if you already installed, please keep along with me, keep trying along with me. And if you are getting any problem, you should immediately ask in the chat box, right? If you are practicing, you can ask the problem you are facing. So this is a database of DVWA. When we expand this database, I will get these two tables which are automatically created inside this DVWA database. One is guestbook and another is user. When we expand this user table, we will get there are 5 users which are there, and these users have been automatically created. When we are setting up this DVWA, there was a command or button on which we have clicked to create and or create delete databases, create and update databases. So we have clicked on that button and this database has already been created automatically, right? So there are 5 users they have created. The first is admin, second is Gordon, Hack, Pablo, and Bob, right? This table is containing user ID, which is a numeric number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then first name, then last name, then username. This is username, and this is the password encrypted in the form of hash, right? So these details are there in the user table. So this user ID is a numeric number, and this is asking about this user ID. So when I will click on this one, when I will write here one, it should show the name and first name and last name of the first user. If you write here 2, it will give first Gordon and Brown. If I will write here 3, it will give Hack Me. If I will write here 4, it will give Pablo Picasso. If I write here 5, it is showing me Bob Smith, right? So this page is basically input page. Your website may be having this type of input page where you are asking for some detail from the users, and you are also showing some response with respect to that input, right? Like if you are if you have appeared in some exam, right? If you have appeared in some exam and you want to check your result, right? So what you will do, you will just write your roll number there, you will submit, and it will show you all the your marks, subject wise marks, and overall performance, right? So just assume that kind of thing. If your website is doing this type of thing, then you must be having this type of input box on your website, right? Suppose I'm writing here roll number and to check my result. Just consider that scenario. Similarly, this page is created by DBWA to just demonstrate you how this SQL injection is working. So it is asking for just a roll number kind of thing like user ID, and it is showing me first name and last name, but it is not showing any sensitive data. When you are checking your result by putting your roll number, have you ever seen that response is showing you the root username, the password for all user and ID and all password? No, not at all. So the sensitive data will not be displayed here. Only the relevant information will be displayed. But now we are a hacker. We all are a hacker. We are learning ethical hacking. So now we are not interested to get this detail. We are interested to get more and more detail about the database and the sensitive information. So let us extract more sensitive information out of this out of this database and through this website, right? So firstly we have to check whether this website, whether this page is vulnerable or not. We are just browsing a website, we just got this type of text box which is responding on my input. So now we are going to check whether it is vulnerable or not. The first thing we have to check is it is vulnerable or not, right? So when we write here 1, it has shown me the first name and last name of the first user, right? First user. So now we are going to check whether it is vulnerable or not. So the first thing you have to do is you have to just write here single quote. This single quote is treated as the most dangerous character in the website hacking. When you are learning website hacking, this single quote is treated as most dangerous character, right? Why it is most dangerous character? Let me show you. When I am writing here single quote, I am submitting here. It is giving me an error message. This website is started giving an error. So the point on which it will give an error, hackers will be happy. If your website is giving any error on the input of single quote, it means you are in danger, your website is vulnerable, right? So if your developer has not properly taken care about this type of thing, if he has not taken care about SQL injection, and if your website is giving any error message on inputting the single quote, it means your website is vulnerable to the SQL injection. Is it clear? Yes, participant. So what we have to do? We have to just input the single quote, right? Upon giving single quote, if it is giving error, it means the website is vulnerable, and it is one, and the hacker has moved one step forward towards hacking your website. Yes, participant, is it clear? Okay, Arvindji, thank you very much. You are practicing along with me. Very good. I appreciate your effort. Yes. So we have just what we have written here. We have entered here single quote and we have submitted, and it is giving error. So parallelly, I am going to explain you why it should give error, right? So that you will have a clear idea what is happening here. So when there is a query, suppose here we are entering here user ID and it is giving first name and last name in response with that user ID. So what type of SQL query may be running? So we are guessing. I am just showing you what type of SQL query may be running. A type of SQL query running in the backend is select first name, surname, from user table where user ID is equal to this one. So this query probably may probably running. This query may be running on the server, right? So if we are writing here 1, so if we are writing here 1 or 2, it is giving the appropriate response. It means when we are writing 2, that this 2 will be accepted as a parameter by this query. So when we are writing 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, it will be giving appropriate first name and surname. So this type of query may be running. So now what we have done, we have just entered here single quote and we have submitted. It is giving error. So let us try to put here single quote. So you can see now after putting this single quote, there will be 3 single quote back to back. There is 3 single quote back to back, which is making this query unbalanced, right? Unbalanced query, right? Means this query should only have 2 single quote and it is having a parameter within it, right? If we put one more single quote, there will be 3 single quote back to back and it is violating the syntax of SQL. It is violating the syntax of SQL and that is why this SQL should give error, right? You can check here what error we are getting. We are getting an error of SQL syntax. It means the developer has not properly handled this type of exception. He has not properly handled this type of input and as a result of this, website is accepting this single quote and it is sending this single quote as a parameter to the SQL. So what the developer should do to avoid this type of thing, he should have firstly checked the type of input the page is receiving. If page is receiving any dangerous input, this page should not send this single quote to the SQL query. Once this single quote will reach to the SQL query, the danger has been done. The problem has been done. So you should avoid reaching this single quote to the SQL query. So before putting this input to the SQL query, we should check the input. If the input is containing any dangerous character, we should handle it properly. We should avoid it, right? This is the better way. And this term is popularly known as sanitization of input in the hacking courses, right? If you are learning hacking, so this is known as sanitization of input. Your input should be sanitized. All dangerous characters should be sanitized before sending them to the SQL query. So because here in this case the developer has not sanitized the input, as a result of that it is giving an error. Just give me 1 minute. So I hope it is clear to all of you. So let us move ahead. So we have just checked that this page is giving an error on single quote. It means it is vulnerable. It is vulnerable to the SQL injection. So what a problem you are facing, Arvind ji? The appropriate username is admin and the password is PASSWRD for DBWA. Please use correct password, right? The correct password for DBWA is, I'm writing here, admin and PASSWORD password. This is the correct username and correct password, right? So now we are going to do next step. The next step is we have to balance the query. We are what we are doing right now. We are hacking this website, so we have to think along with the hacker. We have to think accordingly that how hackers are hacking the website. So we have to think according to the hackers. So now what we are going to do, we have checked that it is giving an error. Now we are going to balance the query. Why we are balancing the query? So that after balancing the query, we can insert here our customized query, which will not only fetch this first name and surname, which will fetch more detail from the databases, like the database name, the server name, the table name, right? Right. So we are going to do here single quote, and after that there is a space, then double dash space single dash, right? When we'll submit this input, it is not giving any error. It is not giving any error. It means you are working in perfect direction, and now the website is not giving any error. What we have done, we have entered single quote space double dash space single dash. So what we have done, we have commented rest of the part. In the last class I have demonstrated it, what this double dash space single dash means. It means you are commenting rest of the part. So what we have done, we have commented this last single quote which was written by the developer. So these two single quote was written by developers. So what we have done, we have commented the last single quote written by the developer, and we have appended our own single quote, and now this query is balanced. Now this query is balanced. This single quote was already there. This single quote was written by hackers, and the actual single quote which was written by developer, the last single quote, the end one, it has been commented. So this single double dash space single dash is used for commenting the particular part of a SQL query, right? So we have commented it, and now this part will be not be considered to for the execution. Now in this place here, after our single quote and before our double dash, in this place we are going to write some additional select queries which will fetch sensitive information out of the databases, right? So if we want to concatenate two SQL query, this SQL query was already written by the developer to select the first name and last name. Now here we are going to write another select query to fetch some sensitive information. Select query sensitive information. Sensitive information. So here we are going to select to fetch some sensitive information. So in this place, this is the our working area. This point is our working area. Here we are going to input some more SQL query. To concatenate two SQL query, we have to use union. Union operator. Union is a operator which will combine one or more, two or more statements along with the existing query, right? Existing query, right? So let us move ahead one by one. So firstly, we have to write here single quote, then space double dash space single dash. Now before inputting our query, before inputting our customized query, firstly we have to know that how many columns the earlier query was fetching. How many columns the earlier query was fetching, because on those columns or those attribute only we can insert our customized SQL statement, right? So firstly we have to know how many columns from the table this particular query is fetching. Which query I'm talking about? The actual query which was written by the developer. So now we are going to get information about number of columns on which the query is working, right? So we will write here order by. So order by is the SQL clause which is being used to sort the information which we are extracting from the database. So what information the query was extracting? The query was extracting one or more information. So now we have to sort the data. Actually our intention is to not sort the data. Our intention is to know that on how many columns this particular query is running. So when we write here order by, we have to specify the column name here. Order by first name, order by surname, order by user ID, order by username, order by password. So whatever the columns which are fetching, right? So we have to order by the query. So we have to test on how many columns this particular query is running. So we are going to write here order by 1. We are doing here some hit and trial. What hit and trial? We are extracting the information that on how many columns the query written by the developer is running. So we are trying to order the result by column number 1. So let us check here. It is not giving any error. So please ignore this. This is the problem with my laptop. That is why this notice is coming. It is not the problem. It is not creating any problem. It is just notice, and it is specific to my laptop only, my configuration only. So please ignore this, right? So here you can see when I have written here order by 1. So it is not giving any error. It is not giving any error. It is not giving any error. It means the query which was developed by which was written by the developer, that query was fetching at least one column from the database. That is why it is not giving any error. So if we write here order by 2, it is also not giving any error. It means on at least two column the query is running. When we will write here order by 3, it is giving error. It means the developer has written a query which was extracting only two detail, the first name and the surname, right? And there is no third column exist, right? So the query was running on only two column. However, the database table is having these many columns. You can see your structure. There are total 8 columns in the database. There was total 8 columns in the database. User ID, first name, last name, user, password, avatar, last login, failed login. There are total 8 columns or 8 attributes. However, our query is only working on these 2 columns, first name and last name. So what we are doing as a hacker, we are getting to know that and how many columns this particular query is working. So once we will know that there are 2 columns on which this query is running, now we can upload our payload. Now we can upload our dangerous database function on any column number value, right? 2 columns it is fetching, so we can exploit any column, and we will write our payload along with that query, right? So let me write here. So I hope you are doing along with me. So if you are getting any problem, please write here. The first query, the first thing which I have done is I'm writing in the chat box single dash space double dash, sorry, single quote space double dash space single dash. This was the first, and then we have written order by single dash order by 3. This I have written, right? So on this it is not giving any error. So now we are going to write here our customized SQL query. So let us write here union. Why we are writing here union? One query has been written by the developer which was running just before this union, and now we are going to write here our customized SQL statement. Union select 1, 2. Why 1, 2? We have just retrieved the information. There are only 2 columns, right? So if there were 3 columns, we can write 1, 2, 3, right? So we can fetch any number of column, right? We can fetch any number of column. So we have written here 1,2. So let us submit this. You can see this query is running perfectly. That is, we have successfully appended our additional select query along with the actual query which was running, right? So what we are extracting? We are extracting 1,2. So whatever we will write here, what we will we will write here 1,2, it will fetch according to us. Now this text box will net, or the query will not fetch the data according to the developer. Now this text box or this SQL statement, this page will fetch those data which is asked by the hacker. So now it is working for me. It just working for me. Now this query which is running behind this page will not fetch the information according to the developer or according to the website owner. Now it will act for us and it will fetch the data for us, right? For hacker. So we are going to write here 1,2 in place of 1 or in place of 2. Now I'm going to upload a payload, right? This is our final injection code. This is our final injection code, and now in place of 1 or 2 we will upload whatever the information we want. We will extract, right? So let us upload here some payload. So I'm opening a payload here. Payload is nothing but some methods or functions in the written in the SQL, right? And which will fetch some sensitive information. So these are some payload, right? So I'm going to try with the first payload. So this is our final injection statement, and now in place of 1 or in place of 2 I will be writing this payload. So I'm writing here this payload. Let us see what it will be extracting from the database. So I'm going to write here this payload. I will submit here. Now you can see it is not getting the username or the first surname. What it is giving? It is giving me root at the root at the rate localhost. It means for this website the database administrator user ID is root, right? So we have just extracted the name of the user, the main user, which is interacting with this database of this website. So if you are having a website, if you are a database administrator, you must have kept your username to access the database, right? So what username this particular website, or what username this particular API is using? Root. Our database may have multiple user, root, ABCD, Amrendra, Rakesh, Ramesh, right? So with which username this particular website is interacting with the database? For a single database there will be multiple user, right? Different databases may different websites may be accessing the same databases, right? With the different username, right? So this website is accessing the database with username root, right? And which database it is interacting? Database may be having a database server may be having lots of number of databases. Here you can see this is our localhost web server, and it is having these many databases: audit, DBWA, Graphicera, MySQL, informational schema. So these all the databases are there in my database server, my web server. With which database this particular DBWA is interacting, that is it is displaying. So it is very sensitive information, very much sensitive. Username, database name. So you should never disclose your database name to the hacker. If you are disclosing your database name to the hacker, you are putting your website on very much risk, right? It is also giving me version. The version information are very crucial. I already told you, right? The version information is very much crucial. If you are telling the hackers that I'm using this version of this particular software, you are putting yourself in the danger, because hackers are very smart and they are knowing that which version of software is having which type of vulnerability. In the last class, I have already told you. You should never use the component with known vulnerability, right? And all the software company are giving you updated version of software. So if you are displaying your version information to the hacker, you are putting your website on risk. So this information you are showing to the hacker, so it is very, very sensitive. Is it clear, participant? Yes, participant, is it clear? So step by step I am explaining. So I request you to perform along with me. Okay, Aparna ma'am. Right. So we have just extracted the username of website. We have extracted the database name and we have extracted the version. So let us move ahead. So now we are going to put a different payload here. So this was our final injection code structure. Now I'm going to use some more payload. So this payload I'm going to use here. So what I am writing here, I am writing this payload in place of 2. We can write in place of 1 also. So we are writing here in place of 2. So can anyone tell me what information this payload will extract? What information this payload will extract? Can anyone tell me by seeing the structure of this payload? So can anyone tell me what information this payload will extract? Yes, anyone? Contact information, name. It is fetching the schema name, not contact information. It is not contact, it is concatenate, group concatenate, right? Concatenate means joining two different SQL queries, right? And schema means database name, right? Database name. So let us use this payload here. So now you can see it is showing me all the different database name of the available on the web server. So you should be very, very clear that not only the current database. So if this website is vulnerable, it is not only showing its own database, but it is also showing other website databases. So you should also be aware if you are using the shared hosting. So many company or many organizations are using the shared hosting provided by the various internet service provider like GoDaddy, BigRock, right? So these all the service provider are providing you shared hosting. Shared hosting means on the same web server, multiple website is running. And it is also maybe the case of with you also. If your college data center is having a very advanced server, very advanced high-end server, then your multiple website, multiple applications may be running on the same web server, right? And all the applications will have different databases. So if any of the application, suppose there are 10 applications running on the same database, same web server, like your college website, your campus ERP, your store ERP, your alumni system, your hostel portal. So suppose these all the portals are running on the same web server. They may be having different databases. If any of the application is vulnerable, if out of 10 application, out of 10 website, any of the website is vulnerable, it will put all the other website in danger, right? You can see here. So this website was vulnerable. It was not only showing its own database, but it is showing the name of all the databases which are available on the server. You can see here, this is our server. It is having these many databases. It is showing me all the databases. So is it dangerous, participant? Is it dangerous? Are you getting this? Yes, it is very dangerous, right? Because it is showing the database name of all the other websites, all the other applications, right? So this is the power of SQL injection, right? So we are doing SQL injection and we are retrieving the different databases. So now we are going to extract more and more information. We are doing more and more narrow down. We are all more and more, we are narrowing our search, and we have reached till the database name. So now we are going to do some more penetration, right? So we will be interested to know some more detail. So let us use different payload. So suppose you have just hacked a website. So you have just hacked a web server, and you came to know there are several databases, right? Several databases. So to know how much jackpot you are getting, how much jackpot you got, that if you want to count that how many databases are there, it may be possible on single web server thousands of databases. So by seeing just name, by seeing the serial wise name, it will be very difficult to know that how many databases are there. So now we are going to use a payload which will count number of databases available on the server. So this payload we are going to use. You can see here, in place of 2 or 1, I will be writing here select concatenate. It is just concatenating the result, and we are routing the count schema name. Count is a function to count the value. What value we are interested to know? Schema name. So let us put this payload here. It is counting and telling us that we got a jackpot of 8 databases. Why jackpot? Because every sensitive information is jackpot for the hacker, right? As much information he will have, he will create more damage to you, right? He may ask for ransom. Suppose if you are a website administrator, you are director of some company, and you are getting a phone call from the hacker that Mr. Website Administrator, Mr. Website Owner, do your website is having these many databases, and he just telling you the name of the databases, audit, DBWA, Graphicera. So I'm going to delete your particular database. So you will be surprised at how it is knowing our database name, right? And it is also telling how many different databases name we are having. He may ask for ransom, that you just give me this amount of money, otherwise I will delete all your database. And once your database will be deleted, your website will be of no use. Without database, your website will not run for a single second or moment, right? So there was an incident 2 years back. Supreme Court of India's website got hacked by the Bangladeshi hacker, right? And they have deleted entire database, right? All the prosecution detail, all the conviction detail has been deleted for every case, right? And for a week, the strong Supreme Court of India's team, website IT team, was not able to run the website perfectly. Even still nowadays also many links are missing on that website, though they have rebuilt their website using their backups. But yes, it was huge impact, right? For a week the Supreme Court of India website was down, right? So they have deleted entire database. So once you lose all your database, it may be containing your essential information, right? So these are the impact of this type of hacking or SQL injection. So we have reached to the database number of databases. Just before that, we have extracted the name of all the databases, and now we have extracted the number of databases, database count, right? So are you interested to see some more adverse effect of this SQL injection? Yes, participant. Are you interested to see, or you are getting bored? Yes, Bilas sir, Arpana ma'am, Aparna ma'am. Shall I continue? Okay, Yogesh ji, धन्यवाद. Okay. So let us see some more payload here. So I'm going to use some more dangerous payload. So now I'm going to use this payload here. Let us check whether it is working or not. I'm going to write this payload. Oh, it is not working. It is giving some error. Maybe it containing some missing values. Let us try another payload. So till now we have extracted the database names for all the databases, the count, right? Now we are going to use a different payload. Just see and tell me that what this payload is going to extract by reading this payload. By just seeing this payload, can anyone guess what information we are going to extract? We are group concatenating. What we are seeing here? What information we are trying to fetch? Yes, participant. It is fetching table name. So firstly we have reached to the web server, then we have reached to the database. Now we are entering inside the database and we are now going to see the table name, right? So now we are going to see table name. When we submit here, now you can see we have penetrated till the table name, and now we are getting table name. Which table name we are getting? The tables which is contained inside the database of this particular website. This particular website was using the database DBWA, and this DBWA is having two tables, guestbook and user. That is why it is showing me the table names of all the table names of the particular database with which this website is connected, right? Let me show you. This is the DBWA database, and you can see there are two tables, guestbook and user. So this is the server. This is the server 127.0.0.1. This is the server address. Inside this server, there are total 8 databases. Inside each databases, there are some tables. Inside each table, there were some columns, right? There were some columns or attributes, and inside each attribute there are some row values, right? So these are the different level of your databases. First it is your database server address, that is 127.0.0.1. Then on this database server there will be multiple databases. Inside one database there will be multiple table. You can see here it is having huge number of table, informational schema. So inside each database there will be multiple table. Inside each table there will be multiple attributes or columns, and inside each column there will be a unique value or any row values, right? So we have reached, firstly we have reached to the server, then we have reached to the database, then we have reached to the table name, right? And we are here we are getting the table name of current database. Current database is your DBWA. Inside this DBWA there are two tables, guestbook and user. So these are very crucial information which we are getting. Now let us move ahead and use some different payload. So let me check if this payload is working. So in place of 2, I am writing here this payload. When we give this payload to this page, you can see here it is giving the table name after combining all the databases. Combined, it is giving combined list of all the tables. So you can see the first table is feedback and login. So let me open our database. The first database of our database server is audit, and it is having 2 tables, feedback and login. So it is displaying feedback and login. The next database is DBWA. It is having 2 tables, guestbook and user. So it is giving guestbook and user. Then the next database is graphic era. It is also having 2 tables, feedback and login. So it is also giving feedback and login. Then the next database is informational schema, and it is having these many tables like all plugins enabled till views. So it is giving all the column name like column it is sorting it in alphabetically, and it is giving all the table, right, till view, right, all the table name it is showing here. And total 108, it is giving the ordered list of the database table, ordered list, right. So total 108 tables it is displaying. So it is very much sensitive, right, information. I hope it is clear. Yes, participant, is it clear? It is giving combined list of all the table name from all the databases. So the next payload which we are interested to know is this one. Now can anybody tell me what this payload is going to retrieve? I have changed the payload. What information it will retrieve? Can anybody tell me? Yeah, it is retrieving column name. So now we are entering inside the table. So we are entering inside the table, and inside the table we are interested to know the column name, right? So let us use this payload, and you will be surprised when I will execute the last code. You will be surprised, last payload, you will be surprised to see that how many dangerous this SQL statement is, right? So please wait for the climax, right? So here it is showing me all the columns name, right? So for which table it is showing? Can anybody tell me for which table it is showing? I have already told you that database server contains databases, databases contains tables, table contains columns. So can anybody tell me which table this columns names belongs to, right? Which columns name it is displaying? Can anybody tell me? Personal information? There is no such table, ma'am. There is no such table. By seeing this table name, you have to tell. You can see this DBWA is having only 2 tables, guestbook and users. So it is showing the details from the user table. You can see this user table is having these many columns: user ID, first name, last name, user, password, avatar, right? So this particular these particular columns are coming from this particular database. Which database? User. Why user? Because this application is DBWA. It is interacting with this DBWA database, and this database, it is having a table called user. This particular page is fetching all its query from this table users. That is why it is showing the column name of user table. I hope it is clear. Yes, Aparna ma'am. Is it clear? This is fetching the column name of user table, because this particular query which is running by which was written by the developer, it was interacting with the user table only, right? Okay, so we have just retrieved the table name. So we have moved one step more ahead, and now we are going to extract some values of the column, which is our climax, right? Which is our climax, because we are more interested in the values. We are more interested in, though the database name, the table name, these all information are very crucial for hackers always, as well as the website owner, but hackers is more interested to get the values, the information stored inside the column, right? So now we are going to use this payload. So please tell me what column we are interested and what column details we are fetching here. A table may have multiple number of columns. I've already shown you. These are the columns of user table. These are the columns. Total 8 columns are there. So in which column we are interested, or about which column details we are fetching here? Can anybody tell me which column this query will fetch the detail? First name and last name? No, ma'am. We are in the first name and last name was already displayed by the developers, right? The actual query, without hacking, without performing SQL injection, it was giving us the first name and last name. So why we are interested to hack? Why we are doing so much effort? Because we are interested to know other than the first name and last name, some sensitive information. Because first name and last name was itself given by the developers of this page, right? And it is not no use of me. We are interested some more information, so we have written a payload here. By seeing this payload, you can see along with the first name and last name, we are also interested to get the username also. This is our point of interest, right? You can say this is our data of interest. We are interested in your username, your password, right? I am not interested in your name. I am interested in your username and password, right? So you can see this particular payload. Let us fetch the detail. Now you can see it is fetching the username, the first name, the surname, and the username for all the user, not only the user number 1 or user number 2. It is giving list of all the users, their first name, their last name, and their username. But if we think from the point of view of hacker is more interested in getting the username and password, right? So suppose your college website is compromised, your college website is vulnerable. So if your student is a hacker, he will get the username and password of all the faculty, right? He can play with your profile, right? So let us modify this query. So I'm going to little bit modify this query. I'm writing here user, and here I'm writing password, because column name we have already fetched in the previous payload. So we all are knowing the column names, what are the columns name available in the database. So we can write any column name here in which we are interested. So I'm interested in password, right? So now I'm going to use this payload. So you can see here, now it is fetching the first name, the username, and the password. So this is our jackpot. This is our jackpot, and we have just retrieved the password for all the user. So from a single point of input, from a very simple point of input, we have extracted the username and password for all the user. So is it dangerous? Yes, participant. Yeah, sir, please mute your mic. Those who has accidentally put their mic on, please put your mic off. Yes, Halika ji, it is very, very dangerous. We have just retrieved username and password from our database website, our website database. Now you can see here this password is encrypted. It is in hash format. So can anybody tell me which hash format it is? Which hash format it is? Have you heard about hash? Anyone? Which hashing technique it is using? If you have learned cryptography, you must have heard about this hashing. Which type of hash it is using? Okay, what are the hacking techniques? Can anybody tell me if you know? What are the hashing techniques in cryptography? अजय सर, हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट कंप्यूटर साइंस बैकग्राउंड से हैं कि मिक्स हैं? यस, अजय कृष्ण सर और पीयूष सर. Are these participants from computer science background or they are from mixed branch? Because if they are from computer science background, they must have heard about cryptography and hashing technique. Okay, Halika, you are from mechanical. Oh. Anyway, you are putting good effort, ma'am. You are from mechanical. Still, you are understanding all the things and answering properly, right? Thank you very much, ma'am. So, if anyone from computer science background, they can answer my query. What type of different hashing technique are being used to encrypt the data, right? Okay. So I was expecting that this course is from on cyber security. So the participant, the target group should be either from computer science or electronics, because the basic details you can understand, ma'am, but maybe you are not very much comfortable with the SQL query and the details, right? Awareness, for awareness, it is very good. Cyber security courses are very good for awareness purpose, basic things. But when we are going more and more typically the technical things, it may be difficult for you to understand, right? Anyway, I will appreciate your effort. You are from chemistry, you are from mechanical, still you are attending and you are answering, you are able to understand. That is always appreciated, right? So let me tell you, there are many hashing techniques are there. Okay, Halika ji, thank you. So there are hashing technique like MD5, SHA. So these are the hashing techniques. So what this hashing technique will does, they will convert a particular message or file, right? Suppose you have written here. Sorry, sir. Please mute your mic, sir. So suppose you are writing any text message or writing hello, how are you? So what happened if you send this plain text message to your receiver? It may be hacked by the hacker and read by the hacker. So what sender will be doing? They will be encrypting these values. They will be encrypting these values using some encryption technique. So one of the technique that is called hash message. It will convert the message into a particular length of strings, right? like if you use 32 characters length hash, then it is MD5. So MD5 is a technique, SHA is another technique, MD5 is message digest 5, secured hash authentication, SHA is secured hash. So these are the techniques, right? So MD5 will use 32 character length. So whatever the text you will write here, so it may be a complete paragraph or single line or whatever the thing, it will always convert this all the paragraph into only a fixed length 32 characters, right? And these 32 characters is unique for each and every string, right? If you change anything here, if you will put a dot here, the even this dot will change this MD5 hash. So let me demonstrate you here. MD5 hash create. You can see here I have written here, hello, how are you, right? So the 32 character length MD5 has been generated here, right? If I will, let me copy it. If I will just put here a single quote dot here, this MD5 has been changed. So if you change anything, the MD5 will be changed, right? And no hacker will be able to understand what this message is. If you send this message, your message is safe. Even the hackers will intercept this message, they will not be able to read your message because it is encrypted message, right? Encoded message, right? So similarly, this password is here in this website. This the password are stored in the hash format, so you cannot read this password, you cannot take advantage of this password. It is no use for you, right? It is of no use because it is encrypted. But hacker is having different mechanism. They can even decrypt it, though mathematically it is not possible. Mathematically it is not possible to decrypt these values. These encryption techniques are very strong. If someone is giving you a hash message, if someone has giving you a hash message and it is asking you to reverse it, to reverse it and tell me the plain text, it cannot be possible mathematically, right? till date till date no algorithm has been designed by any scientist or any researcher which can revert this string, right? It is so powerful, right? But here what we are going to do, let me show you. So here what we have done, we have just extracted the username and the password in the hashed format, right? So I'm not interested in getting this hash. I'm interested in getting this the plain text for this hash, so that I can get the password for this all users. Username is there, username is in plain text, but I'm interested to get the password in plain text so that I can log into anyone's profile, right? So I'm going to copy this hashed code. There are some website which is facilitating decryption of MD5, right? So let me check if any website can decrypt this message. Still not good website. You can see here it has successfully decrypted the message, and the message, the plain text for this particular hash is password. And we all are knowing the default username for DBWA is admin and password is password. So that is why it has decoded. The password has been decoded here, right? So for username admin, the password for this username is what? The username password is password. So now you can log in on DBWA using these credentials. Let us hack the password. Let us reverse the password of this Gordon Brown. So the username is GordNB, and password we are going to retrieve here. The MD5 password we are going to retrieve here. So I'm retrieving the password for GordNB. So I'm putting this. I'm putting this hash code here. When I will submit here, you can say the password for GordNB is ABC123. It has reversed the password ABC123, right? So now we are, let me write here in the notepad for admin. Admin, the password was password. One by one we can retrieve all the password. For GordNB, password is ABC123. GordNB. For 1337, let us decrypt its password. The password is Charlie. The password is Charlie. For username 1337, the password is Charlie. For Pablo, let us decrypt it. The password is let me in. Pablo, it is let me in. So in this way, we are able to retrieve all the password for all the user. Are you able to see, participant? Is it clear? Is it clear? I'm getting all the username and all the password of your website. So this is a climax of your SQL injection, of advanced SQL injection. With this SQL injection, not only we can enter into someone profile, but we can hack all the information, database, server, table information. We can retrieve all the users and their password, right? So this much powerful it is, right? Let me check for Smithy also. So why we are decrypting it? Because for Smithy it is also password. The password is password. Yeah, both this hash code is same. This one and the first one, both the hash code is same, right? So we have retrieved all the password, right? Yes, participant, is it clear? Are you getting this, the severity of SQL injection? So we have retrieved the username and password for all the users. Yes, किसी को कोई doubt है? Any doubt so far? Or we will move ahead?
So can I ask a query, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So whatever hashing techniques we are discussing right now, are they only limited to text passwords, Or can we apply the same on picture passwords also, like CAPTCHA or graphical passwords?
No, hash is basically a method which will convert your text or any file in a fixed length string, right? That is
Right.
the only purpose of using the hash. But that is it is. The captcha is having different purpose. What you are asking, so you can clarify your query, because you are asking a query which is not pointing the exact your requirement, right? You are asking for captcha. Captcha is having different meaning. Captcha is basically used for avoid the automated process like robotic operations, right? But here
So
the hash
we
is having
generally.
different. Yeah, hash is having the purpose of storing the information in encoded format, right?
No, I know, I understand that, sir. I'm just asking, like, for example, there are graphical passwords, there are picture passwords. So can we apply the same hashing technique, MD5 and SHA, on the picture password as well?
Picture password. How can you explain what is
Like
this picture
passes,
password?
like picture password is like a grid is there. You create a password on that. That is called draw secret technique, wherein you are drawing on a grid and your particular password secret should not get
Okay,
out of the
that is
particular grid.
yeah, that is matching. You cannot encrypt the pictures. You cannot encrypt the pictures.
Right,
No? You can encrypt the
right.
text only, right? So
Okay,
pictures, what
okay.
we can do, we can store the different part of a picture in single row, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
can validate the input given by the users. If they are
Mm-hmm.
all these picture selected by him belongs to a particular row, then he will be allowed to enter into the profile, right? Otherwise not. This is
Okay.
the mechanism, right? So whatever the
And
pictures you want to check for, you have to put in the same row, and for all the picture it will check the input selected by the user. Even that the checking mechanism will not check for the picture. It will just check for the picture format or picture name, right? Not for the picture, because programmatically it is impossible to tally two pictures, right? It will just tally two string or two pattern only, right?
so there are passwords which are created these days which are called graphical passwords, which are only based as picture as password. So, for example, I'm keeping my own selfie picture as a password to
Yeah,
unlock
that
my
is different
screen.
thing. That
In
is
that
different
case,
thing. Yes,
right,
yes.
right.
I
That's
understand. I
why I was
understand.
asking.
You are
Yeah.
asking for the face recognition or that thing, right? I retina scanning, right? That is different thing. That
Right.
is the
That's a
mechanism is,
biometric system. No,
yeah,
yeah.
biometric is different thing.
Yeah, I
It
know that, sir. I was asking, like, for example, like currently I'm working on mobile intrusions. Okay, so
Hmm.
my major topic of thesis, I could just tell you, is that I'm trying to make an Android application wherein I'm creating a application wherein secured graphical password technique is being linked. So I
Hmm.
wanted a hash technique which is applicable on picture password as well as on mobile passwords. So is the system hash technique applied on mobile hashing also, mobile passwords also?
Yeah, that is possible to some extent, because
Okay, sir.
a picture is having so many information.
Right.
When you learn this image processing, now you will get the every picture is having different
Hmm.
lots of information. You can
Right.
encode that information. That
Okay.
maximum thing you can do. You can
Okay.
encode this information associated with the picture, and
Okay.
on the fly when you are checking this information for validating the password, you can validate using the hashed code and the actual provided by the user, right?
Okay.
So what
Okay.
you have to do, whenever user will scan a face or that thing, you have to capture all the information, you have to encode it, and then the uh, the previous stored data which is already stored in database, which will also be in hashed format only, you have to
Right.
match both the hash. If the both the hash will match, you will allow you will have to allow the user. That thing you
Okay.
can do.
Right. 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 Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other query? Any other query, participant? Okay, so let us move ahead. So till now we have seen how to extract the how to perform this advanced SQL injection on the websites, right? So now let us move ahead, and we are going to do we are going to have some XSS attack, right? So in XSS I have already demonstrated you the reflected one and the stored one. So here is another type of XSS called DOM. So let us have a brief or let us have a quick demo of this all these XSS attack. So firstly we are going to have this DOM based attack. This DOM based attack is basically DOM is basically document object model, right? So whenever you are writing a web page, whenever you are creating a web page in HTML, this document object model you have to follow. So whatever the input control you are putting on your web page, like drop down, your text box, your text area, or your radio button, whatever the input control you are putting on your web page, this input control must be having a unique ID, right? That is called object ID, right? Or document ID, right? So these all controls are called object, right? So if you want to assign a value to the object, you can only do through programming, or you have to hard code the page, right? Hard code the page. Suppose this object have 4 values: English, French, Spanish, and German. So you will have to select any one value out of this 4 value, right? You should not, the user should not be allowed to change the values of this drop down. Like suppose I'm selecting Spanish here, when I will go to the drop down, it will show you the selected value in the top. The selected value is Spanish. If I will select English, then it is showing the English here. When you are selecting French, the French is selected and it is showing in the on the top, right? So whatever value we are selecting, it is being displayed on the top. And one more thing you have to see, you have to know that user of or visitor of this website should not be allowed to temper or to change the values of this drop down. If he is able to do so, it means your page is vulnerable. He can take a screenshot of this and he can exploit or exploit your website reputation, that I have added some abusing thing here. Suppose a hacker has appended a abusing word here, and he has taken the screenshot and he has circulated among your student, among your facility, that your web page or your web page drop down having a abusing text, which may impact your reputation, right? So if this type of thing can be done on a particular web page, it means the page is vulnerable. So let us do that thing. So what I'm doing, I'm just selecting any value. Suppose I've selected German. So German is coming on the top, selected value, and is also displaying in the address bar. So this is the root cause of the problem. If you are showing the information in the address bar, sometimes it may be problematic for you. So what I will do as a hacker, I will just go to the address bar. I will delete here the German and I will write here Hindi. And I will hit enter button. Now you can see this drop down has a Hindi selected here, which should not happen. The visitors or the users should not be allowed to append anything in this text box or in drop down. Now I can take the screenshot and I will send it to the website owner that I have added a value to your drop down. It means someone is playing with your website and your website in danger. So that is why it is also, however, it is not going to create a huge loss or permanent damage to your website, but still the content of this page is being modified without having the permission. It means your page is vulnerable, and Hindi is selected here. It means it is suffering from DOM based attack, right? This is called document object model attack, XSS DOM based attack. Is it clear? Yes, participant. Is it clear? Yes, बोलते रहिए. Yes, participant. Is it clear? DOM based XSS attack. Okay, thank you, ma'am. So if the DBWA is running on your laptop, you can also try this, right? If you are having the DBWA, you should do it parallelly. Okay, can anyone share your screen? Share the screenshot if you are doing this. If you are able to do this, please take a screenshot and please share in the chat box. Anyone, please? Yes. Anyone able to do this? And can you please share in the chat box the screenshot of this if you are able to do? Like Arvind ji has shared already his screen. So can anybody share your screenshot? No one is able to do that. Okay. So no one is able to do that, I think. So let us move ahead. If it is clear, then we can move ahead and let us check for. Okay. So the next is reflected XSS. I have already demonstrated yesterday that if this text box is just like if I'm writing here Amrendra, then it is showing me my name, right? So if this text box is vulnerable and if it is accepting any dangerous type of script, then definitely it will be problematic for your website. Like suppose I am giving a pop-up message here. So it is accepting the script here. It is accepting any script here. It means it is vulnerable. So developer of this website should have taken care about this XSS attack, and he should have not allowed. He should have not allowed this type of script tag for this text box, and it should warn the user that this type of dangerous character is not allowed, this type of script is not allowed. He should firstly check programmatically whether user is entering a plain text here or it is writing any script here. So if user is able to write any script here, it means your website is vulnerable. Anyone can write here in any abusing things or any abusing language or any threatening message, and it will take a pop-up. Suppose a hacker has entered here a pop-up and he has written that no one is allowed to enter into your profile because your profile of every user profile has been hacked by the hacker and your data is with the hacker, right? So suppose this type of pop-up is coming on a very reputed website, then all user will be very concerned about their data. All user will be very concerned about their data, and if this pop-up will come to a website that your data has been hacked, definitely user will have a bad impression about your website. Even though the data is not hacked, but just giving a pop-up message and writing this that all the users data has been hacked, it is going to cause a huge loss to your company reputation, right? So this type of things can be done by the hacker. Even he can put your his photos or information, like suppose someone is putting this image here, you can say someone photo is coming. So I have taken this photo link from the internet and I have put that in the image src and I've submitted. As a result of that, this photo should not appear here. This photo should not appear here, and this text box should not allow any image script to be entered by the user. But because developer was not aware about this type of hacking, he has not done the secure coding. As a result of that, this type of problem is coming. And you cannot believe, even this reflected XSS has created very huge loss to the too much loss to the companies, right? Their reputation, right? Once upon a time I have found this type of scripting in Indian Railway also. Indian Railway website, which is very prestigious website of Government of India, and I have found this type of vulnerability in Indian Railway. I have reported them. And one very much interesting thing I would like to share with you, yes, participant. Just I need your attention. One thing I want to share with you. There is a very interesting thing. If you are learning this type of thing, you can earn reputation, you can earn money also, right? You can earn name and fame. You can do it by parallelly with your profession, right? If you are a professor or if you are a student, you can do this thing. What I'm talking about, that is a bug bounty. Bug bounty is a program where if you are skilled, suppose after attending my all three session, you are now skilled how to know SQL injection, how to know cross-site scripting, and if you got to know, you can check on any website without harming the website. Without harming the website, you have to just check. And if you found any this type of vulnerability in the website, you if you report this vulnerability to the website owner, they may reward you with some money or some recognition, right? And since last 2 to 3 year, not 3 year, 4 year, last 4 year, Government of India is also promoting, because now day by day Government of India's website are being hacked by the Bangladeshi hacker or Pakistani hacker. They are very fond of hacking the government website. Government of India has requested all the freelancers, all the security researchers to contribute their skills towards making the nation's important website making safe, right? So the Pradhan Mantri, the Prime Minister, has constituted a company called NCIIPC. It is directly running under the aegis of PMO office, right? So NTRO is the parent organization. NTR is a National Technical Research Organization. So NTRO is a parent organization of this company. It is very high level company, very and it has been established to take care of all the critical information infrastructure. And the website name is, the company name is National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center, NCIIPC. NCIIPC, and it is taking care about all the national critical infrastructure. So these are some critical infrastructure, that is transport sector, your flight aviation, your internet ticket booking, railway website, power energy, power grid, right? If someone has hacked the power grid, your all power will gone for the entire city, right? If someone has hacked your power plant, right, IT system, it can make your city dark, right? Telecom sector, government sector, banking sector, your internet banking, your PSUs, all these company, all these infrastructures are called critical infrastructures, and their information infrastructure, that is IT team, that their IT infrastructure is called critical IT infrastructure. Nowadays, you cannot assume any organization without having IT infrastructure. Without IT, you are nowhere in this technical era. So every sector is having its IT wing, IT infrastructure, and their IT infrastructure is treated as critical information infrastructure, right? To protect this infrastructure, this company has been constituted, and this company is running a very noble program which is called Vulnerability Disclosure Program, RVDP. RVDP full form is Responsible Vulnerability Disclosure Program, RVDP. Let me open it in the other browser. It is not opening here. So this is National Responsible NCIPC Responsible Vulnerability Disclosure, and in this program, Government of India is requesting all the Indian nationals, if they are having the expertise in this area, they can contribute their nation, they can contribute their self to protect the nation infrastructure. Just what you have to do, if you found any vulnerability in any website, any critical information website, you have to report it to the NCIIPC. You have to just write your name here. It is editable PDF. You have to write your name, your email ID, your organization here. If you are a freelancer, if you are not belonging to any organization, that is not a problem, right? You can left it blank, right? Then you have to select for the type of vulnerability you have identified: broken authentication, security misconfiguration, cross-site scripting. This all I have already discussed in last class. I have discussed all these vulnerability, right? So if you found any XSS type of attack, you can select, you can write the name here. You have to write the description, that what is the impact, which and how you are performing this, right? So what you have to do, you have to take you have record a video, or you have to take a screenshot of that vulnerability. If you are testing it, you just put your recording on and just record it and send it as a proof of concept, POC. So you have to attach a POC along with this form. So then what you have to do, you have to check for the type of application you have tested, then your brief detail about the incident or the testing. Here you have to write the steps what you have used to perform the testing, right? Then you have to attach the POC, proof of concept. Without that, they will not consider your request, right? Your claim, they will not entertain your claim, right? So you have to attach the POC, proof of concept. You have to let them know that whether you have informed to the affected organization or not. Affected organization name, their website, their email, type of vulnerability, then type of email, the email ID which you have used to report this vulnerability, then whether it has been patched or not till date. And if you want to make your name anonymous, if you do not want to put your name, or if you do not want to tell your name, you can check this. You can write here yes. If you write here yes, this NCIIPC will not disclose your name to anyone. So you have to just fill this form and you have to submit it to the NCIIPC. And what NCIIPC will do, they will check for your claim. If it is right, they will immediately forward this information to the affected organization. Suppose you have found a vulnerability in SBI online internet banking. Immediately you have reported NCIIPC. NCIIPC will immediately respond on your email. They will validate, they will check your claim, and they will approach to the SBI and they will tell the SBI IT team to immediately patch this vulnerability, right? Because it may affect several users, right? So you are contributing towards your nation. You are not doing the personal thing, you are contributing toward the nation, right? So similar thing you can do with many government website. I have reported hundreds of government website to protect them to NCIIPC, and they are motivating all the researchers. Let me tell you about the motivation behind this NCIIPC. Let me open their website. The first motivation is you are protecting your national infrastructure, and apart from that, you can see they are publishing their newsletter every quarter, right? And to recognize the contribution made by the various persons. They will be putting your name here. So you can see here I have reported a very high risk vulnerability in the Indian Railway website, and to recognize my effort, my contribution, they have put my name in their newsletter, right? Not in the Indian Railway also, I have reported many vulnerabilities, right, on many government website, right? And every time they will be respecting our effort, our contribution, right? And they have also invited me on their headquarter, right? They have invited me. They have booked my ticket. They have given a very good accommodation and hospitality. We have a we have a meeting with the senior officials, right? Director of that company, and I have suggested many things with shared many things with that. So this type of motivation is there. They will be putting your name on the national portal, right? And this is the main motivation behind this, right? So these type of things you can also do. You can also contribute toward your nation. Not only you are earning your name, or you are earning a fame, but many times you will get a rewards like money also. Private company, not government company. Government of India has not started bug bounty till date. It is just giving you a recognition but not money. But private company are giving handsome money to you, right? Few weeks back, one of our student has reported a vulnerability in Zomato, right? And Zomato has given $1,000 to my student, right? And apart from that, they have given some goodies like t-shirt, shoes, goggles, right? So many things they have rewarded, and 1,000 money is good money for the student, right? And the students are earning this type of money every weeks, right? Every week they are earning $4,000 to $5,000 for their pocket money, right? So these type of things they are doing. You can also do. You can report any vulnerability to any private company, and the companies are giving good rewards, right? Like Microsoft is giving very good reward, right? So many things are there in this area, which will keep motivating the researchers, the students to do this type of things, right? Not in India, you can report abroad companies. Like, let me tell you about CERT Europe. So this is CERT Europe website, and they will be maintaining a page called Hall of Fame, right? And Hall of Fame, they will be recognizing all the contributors. You can see they have also recognized my name. I have reported a website in very crucial vulnerability in their website. So European CERT Europe is also doing in this area, also working in this area, and they have recognized my effort long back. So these type of things are there for your motivation. So you should also do the type of things. And one thing you should be very careful, that while testing this type of vulnerability, make yourself safe, right, before doing this. That many times you may have the adverse effect also, because it is totally depending upon the mindset of the website owner. If you are testing for their wellness, to tell them about their vulnerability, but if the website owner is having the wrong mindset, he may treat it as a threat, right? And he may log an FIR against you. So always you should be very careful. The first rule for doing this type of testing or bug reporting is to make yourself anonymous. Try using VPN, virtual private network, VPN. There are lots of VPN softwares. So firstly, you have to install the VPN so that your identity will be protected. And if the administrator is having the adverse mindset, he cannot do anything with you. The first thing is to safeguard yourself. Use VPN always while testing this type of thing, while doing this type of thing. Second thing, you should work on the door knocking policy. What this door knocking policy is, suppose you are going somewhere and you have just seen that your neighbor has gone for some trip and they forget to lock their house. So what is your responsibility? Will you enter into their house? Will you check for their cupboards, their almirahs for precious things, and then you will call them and you will tell them, oh sir, you have left your home open, you forget to lock your house, and your cupboard is having these many ornaments or precious things. I have just checked. Will this create a good image for you? No, not at all. So door knocking policy is you should not enter into the house, right? You have just seen that the house is open. Immediately you should call them and you have to tell them that, sir, your house is open. You forget to lock. Do not enter into their house, right? That is your that is your moral, right? That is your responsibility. So similarly, if you found any vulnerability in the website, please do not exploit this vulnerability. Do not deface the website. Do not steal any information. Do not damage. Do not cause any damage to the website. Just check and report it without damaging any data, without hampering any data. You should report it. If you hamper any data, then what is the difference between the ethical hacker and the hacker, the bad hackers, right? So you should always be an ethical hacker. You suppose you have just checked for a XSS, you have just injected a injection code, and you have just tested. By just putting the single code, you can test whether the website is vulnerable or not. So immediately you should report. Immediately you should report to the website owner, sir, your website is insecure. I have just tested your website for not with the bad intention, with the good intention, and I have found this vulnerability. You should immediately patch this vulnerability, right? Otherwise, someone may take the benefit. Otherwise, some hacker may exploit this vulnerability. And if the website administrator having the good faith, good mindset, definitely he will reward you. He will give some bug bounty, right? So never ever try these things to harm anyone, to blackmail anyone, right? Because you will be in trouble. Once the cyber case is registered against you, definitely you will be in trouble, right? So this is all about from my session, and if you have any doubt, you can ask. I'm here only. So I hope I explained everything with respect to my session. Yes, participant, if you have any doubt, you can ask here. I request the organizing team to kindly ask the participant. House is open for discussion. They can ask for the query.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dear participant, if you have any query, please ask.
Otherwise, we can wind up the session. If you do not have any query. Any doubt so far, participant? Any doubt with respect to the earlier sessions or this session? Okay, so I think there is no doubts, so we can wind up the session, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your knowledgeable session.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, we will meet now at 3 p.m. for our next session. Thank you all.